He said that Jesus Christ has risen, and he is the open door.
Well, how you doing, everyone? Welcome to this episode of the Cajun Conservative Show, where I talk about life, I talk about liberty, I talk about the pursuit of happiness, and I show the world that us Cajuns do have intelligence. Hope you're having a good day, good week, wherever you are located, because remember, this is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Hope everyone's having a good one. Hope your weekend has been blessed. If you attended church, hope you had a great church service. If you stayed home with the family, hope you had a great barbecue or seafood ball or whatever's going on. I know last weekend the Bro Bridge area in Louisiana had the Crawfish Festival. I did not attend. That's a lot of ruckus for me. I don't like to. Don't get me wrong. I've been to like the shrimp festivals and all that stuff. I like the rides. The kids love the rides, but it's just hectic. I go on a lot of family nights. I don't try to go to the music or anything like that. Just not my cup of tea. But if you went, hope you had a good time. Ladies and gentlemen, a lot of stuff going on, but we have to remind you, if you please hit that subscribe button, hit that follow button on the platform that you are listening on. If that's Apple, Google, Spotify, Rumble, YouTube, Amazon Music, iHeart Radio, go ahead and hit the subscribe button or the follow button, whichever one they offer. It's usually at the bottom of the screen on the right-hand side, so you can go ahead and do that. And just hope you having a good weekend. So, all right, so let's start off. We're going to start right into it. And, ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States, okay, he don't do too many press conferences. And when he does press conferences, he has cheat sheets to where he has the questions in advance, and it's not really a press conference. Don't you remember back in the day when it was President Donald Trump, and Donald Trump was accused of not being transparent. He didn't do a White House press briefing every day. I think it was something like every other day, or it was once a week. And the press just, oh my goodness, he's not transparent. Oh my goodness, he's not. He don't want to talk to the media. What does President Trump have to hide? And you would go ahead and you'd have Donald Trump. You would have Donald Trump walking to Air Force One or to Marine One, and he would stop and talk to the press. It was Donald Trump talking to the press. It wasn't a scheduled press conference. Donald Trump didn't need cheat cards. And to my knowledge, I don't think any president prior to this one had to have a cheat card. But a press conference, Joe Biden doesn't like. Joe Biden has done one a few weeks ago, and that was the first one in, I believe, 6 months. Now, Joe Biden was having a dinner, or he was talking with a group of people. This was done. This article was written on the 5th of May of 2023, and it was written by Breitbart. And President Joe Biden confessed the White House press pool when he announced he surprised. Correction. I'm reading before my eyes are catching. President Joe Biden confused the White House press pool when he announced a major press conference on Friday afternoon that turned out to be a previously scheduled interview with MSNBC. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. On Friday, the president, with the members of his Investing in America cabinet, were in the press pool, and he asked the press to leave, and he said, look, a press conference is coming. We're going to have a press conference later today. Now, the media, even the left-wing media, thought this was a great thing. Well, they get to ask President Joe Biden questions. Come to find out, he was talking about an interview with MSNBC. And this interview, ladies and gentlemen, I watched the whole thing. It was done with Stephanie Ruhle from MSNBC's The 11th Hour. And if you watch the preview of this interview, Stephanie Ruhle looked like the best thing has happened to her since sliced bread was invented. And if you listen to her, she shaped her preview of the president's interview as it was not the president's fault. And if you watch the whole thing, and we're going to talk about some of the things they talk about, and thank you to Breitbart for doing an excellent job breaking down this conversation into sections, because this interview, which was only maybe 9 minutes long. Now, we know interviews like this probably take over an hour to 2 hours, but MSNBC and other news organizations and Fox do it the same way. They edit the parts out that's going to get the biggest attention. And look, this Stephanie Ruhle and her team did a great job editing, as always, but it made President Joe Biden look good. Her questions was against Kevin McCarthy, majority of them, and every question she shaped it to, well, it wasn't your fault, but we got to ask you this question because it's big in the media. And it was a softball questions. And look, I use softball questions. When I think of softball, it goes back to my days playing softball, and because currently I started playing again. The fastest pitch you're gonna get is it's called a ball because it's so fast. It's a slow pitch that anyone can hit it. Now, where it goes, that depends on the batter, but anybody really can hit a slow pitch softball. And that's when I think of a softball question. This interview tops it off. President Biden was not asked any questions that made him look bad. It made Kevin McCarthy look bad or someone else look bad. And we're going to start off from the top, where she asked him a question about Hunter Biden. Now, Hunter Biden has been having some issues with his laptop. He's been having issues with his baby mama, who has asked for child support. Remember, this is the same Hunter Biden that went into court and said, hey, I have no money. When I went to the trip with my dad to Ireland, I slept on a cot. I also heard, and I haven't saw this in news articles, but he set up something to raise money to pay his legal fees. Hunter Biden got some of the best lawyers in the world going into court with him, and he's asking for money from the American public. And unfortunately, there's going to be some people on the left so gullible that's going to, oh, poor Hunter. Oh, poor Hunter. Oh, he has no money. Oh, he needs help. This is the same Hunter Biden that is called being a thorn in his daddy's side. Just a reminder, ladies and gentlemen, I think it was 20 to 30% of Americans said that if they knew Hunter Biden and the laptop story before the presidential election, they would have went ahead and not voted for Biden. Unfortunately, that story was suppressed by big tech and big media. But during the interview with MSNBC on Friday, President Joe Biden responded to the prospect of his son Hunter facing federal charges from the Department of Justice, and how potential charges brought by the DOJ would impact his presidency, by stating that my son done nothing wrong and that the situation surrounding Hunter impacts my presidency by making me feel proud of him. The question was, sir, there is something personal that's affecting you, your son, while there are no ties to you. So I'm going to stop right there in the interview. She says, oh, sir, your son is having personal issues, but there's no ties to you. Who is the big guy? We always ask that question, and there's some evidence that says the big guy was Biden. Also, we know now that multiple members of the Biden family impacted from Hunter Biden's business dealings. And then you have the Hunter, like I said, there's whistleblowers that are coming out and saying things, and the media is trying to keep that hush-hush, trying to discredit the whistleblowers on the Hunter Biden side. But remember, we couldn't even mention the name of the whistleblower for the Ukrainian incident with Donald Trump. But Stephanie Ruhle, and this is why I said it's a softball question. You can tell Stephanie Ruhle was trying to defend Biden in a lot of these questions, but she said, "Look, no ties to you, sir." Could be. Then she continues. Could be charged by your Department of Justice. How will that impact your presidency? Biden's answer: First of all, my son did nothing wrong. Now, look, we have no evidence. The Department of Justice, and look, it's been proven that the FBI and other agencies have been handling this softly. They've been slow rolling all the investigations for Hunter Biden. But according to the president, he did nothing wrong. I trust him. A son should trust a dad should trust his son. I have faith in him. Well, you should have faith in your sons. I'm not, but if they're doing something wrong, you tell them they did something wrong. And it impacts my presidency by making me feel proud of him. Scratch your head. Your son's a deadbeat dad that does not pay his child support bills. Your son was did business dealings that hurt our nations and compromised you as the president of the United States. And President Biden feels proud of Hunter Biden? Now, of course, Stephanie Ruhle did her job. Not. She didn't start following. What about the Hunter Biden laptop? What about this? What about it? No, she just moved on to the next question. Like I said, very cleverly edit things out. We don't know if Biden said anything after this, but if you watch the whole 8-minute video, a lot of this is edited out. Another question was asked Biden by Stephanie Ruhle, where she asked the president about his age, according to Breitbart. This is her quote. There is not a future 500 company that would in the world looking to hire a CEO in his 80s. So why would an 82-year-old Joe Biden be the right person for the most important job in the world? That was her question. Biden said, because I have acquired a hell of a lot of wisdom. Where? Inflation's high. Banks are closing. The economy stinks. We have people in this country and in the Democrat Party think that they're asking the question, what is a woman? President Biden says he has a lot of wisdom. Where? If the wisdom is destroying the country, he's doing an A+ job. But if he's bringing the country together like he ran on in 2020, he's not doing a good job. America is more divided now than it was in 2020. But he has a lot of wisdom and knows more than the vast majority of people. I'm more experienced than anybody has gone through this office, and I think I've proven myself to be honorable as well as also effective. Effective in destroying the country, effective as ruining our economy, raising our debt, because we're going to get to that in a little bit. But the phrase I want to bring up, and no more than the vast majority of people. So is he trying to say he's smarter than Americans that put him in that position? If that's so, I am offended. Okay, I understand the president has knowledge of world leaderships and things of that nature, and he has to have a vast knowledge of things. But for a president to go and say, look, I know more than the vast majority of people in this nation. So the president's sticking his nose up and saying, well, I know more than you, the American citizen. Because Joe Biden's the president of the United States does not make him better than anybody else. I will say that about Trump. I will say that about Reagan. I'll say that about anybody. The president of the United States is a person. Yes, is he a very important person? Absolutely. We should protect him. But he's still a man. He has to learn. But Joe Biden's puffing up himself. And look, like I said, was not pushed any hard questions on this. This was a benefit question for Biden. Moving on to the next question, we're going to talk about the budget. She asked about the question about the debt ceiling. And ladies and gentlemen, she didn't ask, hey, Mr. President, why? You waited months to start negotiations with the Republican Party. She didn't ask, how do we stop the debt and how do you work with the Republican Party? No. Stephanie Ruhle asks let me go ahead and find the beginning. Let's see where we got. I'm trying to find all the. Yeah. Okay, so Biden claimed that no one ever tied their budget to the debt ceiling in response to charges from the former President Donald Trump was willing to play ball on issues while he won't be stating that Trump hurt the economy and increased the debt. Biden said the idea someone for the first time is saying unless you pay this pass this ridiculous budget I have, which is the way I would criticize what the Republican MAGA budget is. Now remember what MAGA means: Make America Great Again. Unless you pass this budget, we're not going to increase the debt limit, and we're going to go bankrupt. The United States is going to renege for the first time in its history on this debt. And you just can't, no one ever tied them together before. I've said it to the Republican leader. Here's the deal. Take the debt limit, pass it like you did 3 times when Trump was president. He increased the whole national debt for 200 years by 40%. What about your first 4 years in office or 3 years in office? Ladies and gentlemen, I already brought up the numbers. I have the numbers, and they have increased since I brought out the numbers, where Biden has spent almost probably about $5 trillion and increased the debt alone. He's on a faster pace to bring it up from Biden's on track to raise the debt more than Donald Trump. But he wants to say Donald Trump brought up the debt by 40% in a 200-year history. Do you know before George W. Bush, every president, I think, had spent $1 trillion? Now we're sitting at $31 trillion in 20 years or so. Now, that is not just all Biden. That's presidents that were Republicans that raised the debt as well. And you cannot hold it. If you're going to hold a standard to Biden, you have to hold a standard to them. But now Stephanie Ruhle then asked Republicans thought that Donald Trump, at the very least, they would say played ball. You're not willing to play ball, they would say. So she's bringing out the point right here. Okay, she's not saying, hey, you did not play ball. You waited for so long to go ahead and hold these meetings. But she says, well, the Republicans say that. And listen to Biden's response. Play ball, he ballooned the debt. What do you think the President Biden has done? Biden has raised the debt, I said, on a faster track than Trump has. Excuse me. And he goes ahead and says he created unemployment. Look, when I came to office, we had an incredible high unemployment. We were in a situation where we had very little movement on anything going on. And look at the employment rate now. Just today, 250,000 new jobs. Highest participation in 75 years of women in the job market. Lowest unemployment rate for African Americans. Things are moving. President Biden forgot one little line in that statement. Trump did do that. Trump did bring down the unemployment, and see, before he left, started rejoicing and saying, hold on, the Cajun Conservative said that? Hold on. COVID-19, we had the Democrats and the Republicans saying, shut the economy down. People lost millions of jobs. Biden's campaign, I created 12 million jobs. It's easy to create 12 million jobs when 2 years before you told them to leave their job and for employees to lay off because of a pandemic. But of course, Stephanie Ruhle didn't do her job and asked these questions. This is why I called this a softball answer. They also asked about the 14th Amendment. I had to do some research on this. There's a clause in the 14th Amendment that Joe Biden believes he can extend the debt without Congress, but he forgets about the constitutionality of Congress. Then they hold the purse. But during the interview, Stephanie Ruhle asked the question on the 14th Amendment, and that he would prepare to invoke the 14th Amendment to blow through the debt ceiling. And this is Biden's argument. Biden said Biden agreed with Ruhle that some in Congress might be okay with default on adding, I've not gotten there yet. And here's the deals. I think that, first of all, that is not your father's Republican Party. See, he starts saying, and this is what I'm saying. She did not ask no questions. She didn't ask questions to rebuttal him. This ain't your father's Republican Party. Mr. President, the Republican Party passed the bill. They passed a bill in Congress to extend the debt limit. But you were sitting in the White House being a big baby and saying, hey, I'm not going to go ahead and negotiate with Kevin McCarthy. Now that we are a month ahead, he wants to blame the Republican Party. Who's doing their job? But he don't think we got there yet. Now, if this would happen, he would go ahead and be the first president to try to invoke the debt ceiling and try to take over the purse over Congress. This will be legal fees that wouldn't go through right away. Now, he also said, I cut the debt by $1.7 trillion. Yeah, but our debt's still still $31 trillion. That, you know, they're saying, well, I cut it, but I spent it somewhere else. That's what it's sounding like. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this right, like I said, this interview, because we have to go to a break. This interview right here proves, at least for Stephanie Ruhle, that she softballed these questions. Now, they could have gave it to him before so he could answer the questions, but she wasn't being a journalist. She wasn't saying, well, hold on, Mr. President. What about this, and it's like they did Donald Trump. You remember Donald Trump couldn't get a question, couldn't answer because people would cut him off. But President Biden had the opportunity. And look, she said, oh, I agree. Yeah. Oh, the Republicans doing this. Oh, you would have to watch the video. The way she was at, look, like I said, she was grinning in the ear. Oh, I got to meet Mr. President Biden. But ladies and gentlemen, this whole interview shows, especially on MSNBC part, that this big media loves President Joe Biden. And instead of pushing back on him and asking him hard questions, they went ahead and they softballed him these questions. And look, they're not the only one. CNN has done it. 60 Minutes has done it. And Biden has not had hard media push. And it even goes to the point of this, on one point of this interview, where he went ahead and said that the media was showing negativity about him. Where has the media shown negativity on Biden? Where has the negativity been on Biden? Biden's acting like the mainstream media is cutting him down every way, shape, or form. There's always negativity on the mainstream media. The only reason CNN and some other of MSNBC show stuff bad with Biden because it's too bad and everybody knows about it and they have to report on it. But if they can hide everything that Biden does in a closet, they would. Because the media is in the hands of the left-leaning party, and that is the Democrat Party. And they're not going to go against their golden boy. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and take a break. We'll be right back in a few moments. How you doing, everyone? Isaac here. I'm the Cajun Conservative, and I want to thank Brother Lanny Hayes from Hayes' Dump Truck Service for their generous support of the Cajun Conservative and Brothers Just Searching. Hayes' Dump Truck Service serves the Lafayette and surrounding areas. If you have any job that you need done, like cleanup or hauling material to your job site or your home, we haul limestone, we haul sand, we haul topsoil, any type of material you need. If you're in the Lafayette and surrounding areas, please call Brother Lanny Hayes at 337-852-8043. Remember, Hayes' Dump Truck Service, where Jesus is Lord of the company.
With your blood, cleansed and made us whole. Not one hoof, not one soul.
All right, continuing on. Also, welcome to the second segment of the Cajun Conservative Show. Man, I am thirsty. I got a root beer and a bottle of water, and I don't know. It must be this hot Louisiana weather. This morning, we had storms, we had wind, and look, pray for everybody here. It wasn't bad, but it did have some damage. But ladies and gentlemen, we're making through, and it just, sometimes it gets hot here in Louisiana. All right, continue on with my last point. I was looking for it, and I finally found it, and I want to bring it out. Stephanie Ruhle did ask him on the issue of the poll numbers. Poll numbers are not looking good for President Biden right now. Not at all. It's going to a point where I heard today, and we're going to talk about Robert Kennedy later on, I think in the third segment, if we can get that far in my notes. About the poll numbers right now. I heard him. This is from Fox News, and other networks have brought this out as well. Where he got about 18% of the poll numbers right now, and I just started putting two and two together. 70% of people said they don't want Biden in there with Kennedy and the other lady that's running. They got about 30% of the poll numbers. Biden got 30%, that's 60%. So yeah, 40% of people still saying they don't want Biden, and I don't know what they're waiting on. Biden isn't really doing that much to pass his message. I saw on a video earlier it was an article, I can't remember the article, where they said the re-election campaign of Biden showed more of Kamala Harris than anybody else. I have friends in politics that they believe that is going to be Kamala Harris running. There's some people I've heard commentators say possibly Michelle Obama. So we have, we have that. We had that feel that Biden, will Biden continue on to run? If the DNC sees he is losing his primary, they might go with a Robert Kennedy. I doubt they go with Robert Kennedy, but they're probably going to maybe go for a Gavin Newsom or Kamala Harris. We're going to have to wait and see. But when asked about this is the question. You're talking about real potential situations when you refer to insolent that you came up with. Why do you think you don't get more credit for it? Why do you think your polling is where it's at? Now, she asked about insolent, but I can tell they're not worried about insolent. They're not worried about former. So they're worried about the open border. They're worried about high inflation. They're worried about high gas prices. That's why the polls are down. But like I said in the first segment, she will not go ahead and ask these questions because evidently it makes Biden look bad. And Biden's response was, well, I don't think people, by the way, every major one who won re-election, their polling numbers were mine or now. No, they weren't. Biden is sitting at a low approval rating of almost, last time I looked, between 36 and 40%. Okay, I don't believe Ronald Reagan had that. Bill Clinton, I have to go look back. I can't speak with certainty on that, but there was a lot of presidents that got reelected was over 45 and up. He is under 40 and more polls. That is not good. That's not looking good for an incumbent. Donald Trump stayed at 45 and he lost the reelection. But Rose then cut in to say, but polling aside, then statements in this country, despite all those wins, is not very good. Saying, look, even with all your wins, see, like I said, this bothers me when a journalist says, but wait, you did all this good stuff and polls are still down. It shows that how the media is disconnected with the people of America. But Biden responded, I think that we all heard negative news for 3 years. Everything is negative. And I'm not being critical of the press. You turn on your television, the only way you're going to get a hit is if there's something negative. But number two, I think we're in a situation where we have much of what we were able to do only is going to come into play now. So everything we did is coming into play now. Everything we did back then is going to be there. But listen how he says the negativity for 3 years. Again, I asked the question, where has Biden got negativity? Not from CNN, not from MSNBC. If they were negative and critical of Biden, she would have chopped him up and ate him for breakfast in this interview. But she didn't do that. Oh, it's not your fault, Mr. President. Oh, you done everything good, but American people don't understand, Mr. President. She gave him softball answers, and for him to come out and say, oh, for the last 3 years, I had all negativity upon me. Bull crap. Oh, and then this is what makes me upset about the media. She didn't answer. Well, no, sir, you have more favoritism. Donald Trump had almost 95% negativity on his part. This is one reason why he said he don't want to go on a debate. Because even Fox News is putting negativity on him now. But my goodness. President Biden had negative coverage? Where? I would like to see it. Send it to me, the Cajun Conservative 5 at gmail.com. Then go to my Facebook page, like it, and then share me a message. Send me the article where the media criticized Biden. Maybe 1 out of 10 articles? Now, if it's Fox News, of course. Okay, Fox News has criticized Biden. News Nation, News Nation has as well, but Newsmax and OANE and all they have, Breitbart and all that they have, but these are small potatoes compared to CNN, MSNBC, CBS. Only one you can say is bigger is maybe Fox. But have negative. And I'm not even going to read the rest of the statement because he just mumble jumbles. It's worrying about insolent. It's We have issues in America, ladies and gentlemen, big issues. All right, let's move on. John Featherman says his depression came from brutality of the campaign. The other side. That's right. This comes from the Daily Caller. No, the Daily Wire. Excuse me. Senator John Featherman, Democrat, Pennsylvania, blames his recent hospitalization on the brutality of his 2022 Senate campaign. In an interview with Pittsburgh CBS affiliate KDKA, Featherman said he is doing better after he checked himself into Walter Reed Medical Center in Washington, D.C. in February. Featherman was diagnosed with depression and spent 6 weeks in treatment at Walter Reed. In the interview, the freshman senator blamed his depression on his May 2022 stroke, but also on the Republicans during the campaign. Now, if you remember, John Featherman was running against Mehmet Oz, and he caught a stroke in the middle of his campaign. He was out for several weeks. They had to run his campaign from the basement, and look, no fault to him, he was sick. Now, I think he should have went ahead and stepped out. That was my personal opinion. But when he decided he to come back, and this is one of the reasons why we said, hey, you shouldn't vote for John Featherman because he won't be able to represent y'all. But the left in the left did what they did with Joe Biden. They puffed him up. He hid his sickness, hid his incapability with everybody. Now he was spent 6 weeks of depression, and he don't blame that on the stroke though. And look, he should have said it. Look, because of my stroke, I'm depressed and I have things that are going on. No, he blames his depression on the stroke as well, but also it was the Republicans. Oh, them nasty Republicans. Them nasty Republicans were mean and they attacked me and they I was depressed. Why did you run? Because to my knowledge, every campaign that I ever watched, it was brutal, especially global election, like global national election like that. Everybody was watching Pennsylvania. Everybody. We were at a campaign party and watching results as they come in. We had our friends from Culper's Canteen Cup and Esteban come on our show, and we talked about the campaign and what was happening in Pennsylvania. Everybody had their eyes on Pennsylvania. But John Featherman, oh, it was brutal. Oh, the Republicans attacked me. That's what caused my depression. Then step up. You're still in politics. Resign. Because I tell you, it's going to get more brutal. You're going to be spending a lot of time in Walter Reed fighting with depression in the Senate. But ladies and gentlemen, does this thought, oh, I'm depressed because... Look, I have politicians sitting across me and we correspond online. You're depressed because of the brutality of the election. My goodness, I hate to see John Featherman really hold a real job, and he has to live on a budget like majority of us Americans do. See, I'm like you, the American people. I have a job and I live on a budget. If it's not in the budget, we don't do it. But John Featherman's been rich majority of his life. He don't have to live on a budget. He lives on a government salary. Oh, it's depressing. Oh, the Republican attacked me. And look, I'm not gonna comment on the stroke. His stroke, somebody being sick like that, they probably will get depressed. And my heart goes out to him. But for him also blaming the Republicans during the campaign for them attacking him, and for him no, you're gonna have political attacks. There's going to be ads out there that's going to go ahead and look. This happens on the Republican side. I'm surprised. Can we get a quote from Mehmet Oz? Did Mehmet Oz go into depression because of the political attacks from the left? What about Herschel Walker and the other senator from I can't think of his name right now. The one that beat Herschel Walker. I can't think of his name. It's the Reverend. Which he ain't a true Reverend, but I can't think of his name. But they're going to Walter Reed's? Are they going to the hospital because of the press? That race was worse than the Pennsylvania race. Ladies and gentlemen, this right here is just to justify why he isn't doing his job in Washington. And if he is really sick and he needs rest, he needs to resign, and the governor needs to assign somebody else to that post. It's going to be a Democrat because a Democrat runs the state of Pennsylvania. But ladies and gentlemen, to blame the Republican Party for the brutality of the campaign, that's sugarcoating it. That is sugar. There's a worse problem going on with John Featherman right now. But people in Pennsylvania, I hate to say it, but y'all voted for this. And y'all are lacking representation right now because y'all didn't want a Republican taking that spot and stopping Joe Biden. All right, let's go ahead and talk about the border. Senate draft bills to keep Title 42 border barriers. Title 42 was a bill that was passed in the Trump era to go ahead and to stop the flow of migrants while coronavirus was happening. And this stopped the flow of migrants coming. That, I believe in May 11, is supposed to be taken away. But there's some senators that are trying, and one is independent Senator Christian Sinema, who is part of the left, teamed up with Tom Tillis from North Carolina to keep the enforcement of Title 42 in play for at least 2 more years. Now, Biden has been trying to get rid of Title 42. He has tried to do it before, and the Supreme Court, I believe, shot it down. And ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what's up with Biden and Mayorkas, but they want the border open. Now, I'm glad that we have these 2 senators trying to do this. I don't think it's going to go anywhere. Chuck Schumer isn't going to go ahead and cross President Joe Biden. But if you listen to this, this article from Breitbart says Title 42 countdown, 700,000 migrants in Mexico waiting to rush U.S. border. As many as 700,000 migrants are a foreign population larger than Boston, Massachusetts, are currently in Mexico waiting to rush the U.S. state Mexican border when then President Joe Biden ends the public health authority known as Title 42 on March 11th. Ladies and gentlemen, Biden is telling these people to come. And look, I never heard a president say, well, we're going to go ahead and help people come over the border. 700,000 migrants are waiting for this title to drop so they can come across our nation and benefit from our nation. This is why Biden, and we talked briefly about this, the Biden administration, this is from the Daily Wire, 1,500 troops to the southern border ahead of expected surge. Ladies and gentlemen, 1,500 men and women against 700,000. You think that's safe? Do you honestly think that 1,500 men and women of our nation's military is going to stop that? Possible. We have guns and everything like that, but ladies and gentlemen, look, Title 42 is widely expected to bring a fresh crusade of illegal immigrants, with some predicting as many as 11,000 crossings a day. Ladies and gentlemen, you know what stops this? A wall. It sounds like Trump was right again. But, oh no, that's racist. That's homophobic. That's bigotry to build up a wall. And ladies and gentlemen, why did waiting for this thing, Title 42, to come to an end before they cross over? Because Title 42 would send them back. Nothing's going to hold them, send them back. Now the Biden administration has made a app, and they have made things to help them come in. Like this is from the Daily Wire. Mayorkas working to expand migrants from Central America as border surge anticipates. With Mayorkas, who is a disgrace at his post, he should be impeached, is working on getting H-2 visas, which allows non-citizens to work by the U.S., and they're going to raise it up to 25% for workers from Central America, meaning an increase in 25,000 workers. Why ain't Americans are working? Why are you not giving them jobs to the American people? No, we're going to go ahead and give them to migrants that come over. And now they get these visas after they come over. That's scary as well. Also, another story. Biden opens doorway for 350,000 migrants from Mexico. This is from Breitbart. President Joe Biden's pro-migrant border chief is widening a semi-larger door in the border to admit 1,000 people per day or 350,000 people per year from Mexico, despite Congress caps on migrants numbers. Ladies and gentlemen, and we don't have an open border? Come on, people. This president does not care about the law. Remember, they blame Trump because Trump enforced laws at the border, and you're a bigot, you're a racist, you're a homophobe. This man is allowing up to 700,000 people to come across on day one of the end of Title 42. Well, no, I'm not going to allow that. I'm going to send 1,500 troops. Do you know, first off, you know how long the border is? The border spans from Mexico all the way to Texas. 1,500 troops are going to stop that. Man, and this president had the nerve to say he gets negative coverage on mainstream media. If you notice, all these things are coming out of conservative newspapers. But we're going to have them, CNN, criticize Ron DeSantis and Republicans for not meeting with the president when the president didn't call for debt ceiling negotiations. Ladies and gentlemen, this is aggravating. We're living in a country of lawlessness, and it's from the top on down. The president is allowing almost 700,000 people and more opening the border literally to go ahead and come to this nation. Now, I got a question to ask, and this is a thought. You know, I wonder what I would do if I cross over the border in Mexico. One lonely little Louisiana boy goes across the border in Mexico. And don't let me go with guns. Don't let me go with weapons. The Mexican government would arrest me faster than I can say hopscotch. But we have 700,000 people. Look, ladies and gentlemen, that's an invasion of our country. Oh, Isaac, this is harmless people. This is family looking for a better life. 700. I understand the struggles in Mexico and the countries south of Mexico. And look, if you want to come to America, come legally. Don't go ahead and cross the border. And look, 1,500 troops. Imagine that. And look, don't you remember the last time we had a huge migrants come over the border? We had people saying that our border patrol was whipping people with a whip when it was not even true. But we have in America. We're living in America right now where Mexican illegal immigrants are going to get more freedoms and more services than the American people. American people are suffering. And our president does not want to protect our borders. These are more, and look, like I said, people coming illegally, I'm all for that. But people illegally, that's a problem. And it's a problem that we're going to have to face, we're facing with right now. And it's sad that our president is allowing this. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry. He goes to work at 10 o'clock. He gets off at 4 o'clock. He eats his ice cream and he goes to bed. To Joe Biden, the presidency is nothing more than a part-time job. And it's sad. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and take our second break. We'll be right back in a few moments.
Cheers and good on you, boys and girls. My name is Scott Ford, and I have a show on Rumble. It's the Scott Ford Show, all one word. The Scott Ford Show, all one word, and it's on Rumble. I'd be very happy if you went ahead and subscribed like Isaac. I'm a true American-loving patriot. Thank you, Isaac. God bless. Enjoy your life.
You're my peace of mind when this old world seems to get me down.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the third and final segment of the Cajun Conservative Show today. So let's continue with the border issue. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Went ahead and blast open borders, not anti-immigrant, to oppose illegal immigration. Now this is look, I never heard a Democrat talk about like this in a while, and this shows that Robert Kennedy has the values of, I guess you could say, a blue dog Democrat, where you could, if pre-Trump, Obama and other people in the Democrat Party, they believe that you should protect the border. That's one. If you go look at videos prior to Trump and his border wall, it was Democrats saying we need to protect the border, we need to close off the border. There even is some instance where you hear Chuck Schumer and other prominent Democrats say, look, we need to put up a wall because immigration is bad. It's only until after Donald Trump got in there and started saying we need to build a wall, and the Democrat Party, instead of looking for the betterment of this country, said, you know what, we need to go ahead and oppose Donald Trump every way, shape, and form, so we're anti-border security all of a sudden. But Democrat presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is blasting open borders and saying it is not anti-immigrant or to oppose illegal immigration to the United States, which comes with the enormous economical and social burdens that overwhelmingly fall on working and middle-class Americans. That's from Breitbart. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this might look, and they have some people that tell me, no, Robert Kennedy does not have a chance. If Robert Kennedy keeps talking like this and there's enough blue dog Democrats out there, he does. As we said in the first, I believe it's the first segment, I briefly mentioned we was going to talk about Robert Kennedy. He has 18 to 20% of the polls right now. Do I trust the polls? No, I don't trust the polls to an extent, because look what happened in 2024. Look what happened in 2020. Look what happened in 2016. Polls for the last couple of elections have been, better words, they stink. They are not accurate. There's only one or two polls you can possibly say was accurate enough to get everything that happened right. But Robert F. Kennedy bringing out statements like this, will it boost up the national, all the rest of the Democrats? No. But also, you also have the DNC, where he has accused them of trying to make it to where Biden wins. You have the super delegates and all this stuff. You have all this stuff surrounding Robert Kennedy. Now, there is more Americans in favor of Biden holding a debate with Robert Kennedy and other Democratic candidates. Another poll says Biden voters want president to debate other Democrat candidates. A majority of voters who support President Biden in 2020 believe he should step up against the public and publicly debate other aspiring Democratic presidential candidates looking ahead to 2024. A poll released Thursday sets out. So, ladies and gentlemen, Biden voters want Biden to debate. They want to hear the other side's arguments. But there's a lot of Biden voters that say, look, we don't want him to run. We don't wish he wasn't being the president. So they want to hear what the other candidate says. Now, it also looks bad that the DNC saying, no, we're not. We're going to go ahead and support Biden, and that's it. It makes that look bad. Remember, small comparison, but the LA GOP, remember when they picked Jeff Landry, people were trying to say, oh, they're just picking, they're canceling everybody out. Does it look good? Possibly not. And it does not look good for Biden here. Biden goes ahead and says, well, you know, I'm the candidate no matter what. The DNC says, yes, he's the candidate. You can run, but we're not going to support you. And this leaves an open door for Robert Kennedy and other candidates on the Democrat side to say, you know what? You're not supporting us. You're trying to hide something. You're trying to use. Look, they don't want Biden in the public eye. The DNC and the Biden campaign, their strategy is the less of Biden, the better. And that's what they're doing here. And Robert Kennedy making statements about the border, the border is a failure on the Biden and Mayorkas. If a Democrat wants to be smart, he can go ahead and go against Biden like that, but they're not going to go ahead and push the issue on that. Remember, big media is trying to protect Biden. We learned that from the first segment. You're not going to have a fair outlook on this. But I'm liking how I'm glad I'm hearing there is some sensible Democrats out there that saying, look, we want to hear a debate. And look, if this would ever happen, I would have to team up with some of my liberal friends and ask them, hey, let's talk about the debate. Let's see your side as a liberal. We might have to, now, will it happen? No. But I honestly think that, look, it's just not Biden. Trump saying, oh, I don't want to debate because the RNC didn't get my approval. Well, they don't need your approval. We already established that, but it would be stupid for him not to go, because they're going to say, well, Donald Trump's arrogant. They think Donald Trump should just give him it. And that's going to sway votes away from Trump. And on that note, like I said, we have other candidates that can go up on that stage. So we're going to have to see what happens. But this whole led me to a question. This did lead me to a question. Will Robert Kennedy be the Trump of the Democratic Party? And I'm not talking about not going to extremes and whatnot, but ladies and gentlemen, Donald Trump started the same way. Donald Trump saying we need to build a wall, we need to do this, and people, Donald Trump don't have a chance. And guess what? Donald Trump won the nominee for the Republican Party. To be honest with you, and look, common sense says it, that Biden is a weak candidate, and I think Robert Kennedy will have a good shot. There's people that disagree with me. Hey, we have the right to our opinions. But ladies and gentlemen, Robert Kennedy, I'm not endorsing Robert Kennedy. I'm not asking Democrats to vote. I wouldn't vote for Robert Kennedy. There's some other things I disagree with Robert Kennedy. But on Democrat side, it might work. And that's what I've been thinking. Is Robert Kennedy the Donald Trump of the Democrat Party? Someone that has high name recognition, ain't that big into politics, but it's coming out and saying, you know what? I'm going to try to run. And time will tell, history will tell, and we'll just have to see what happens. So, all right, let's go on. Left-wing activists furious at Bud Light for backing away from Melvanini call for boycott of their own. So the partnership between Bud Light and the social media influencer Dylan Magnivi, who is a man that says he's a woman, appears to have annihilated both conservatives and leftists, as members of the latter group criticized the brand for half-heartedly recoding support for the self-described transgender social media star. So what's happening is Ashton Busch, the company that owns Bud Light, is facing a lot of criticism because of the recent promotions. They have said, well, look, it's just a can. Oh, come on, guys. Look, we're trying promotions. We're doing. They were trying to do all kind of stuff. They made cans with rainbow colors and all that, and they're losing money. Last time I looked, and I think it was over $1 billion they lost in sales. We have a local company here that's a local distributor, put out an ad telling people, please drink Bud Light. Ladies and gentlemen, Bud Light is suffering because of what they did here, and they don't know their market. I don't want to be offensive to anybody, but the majority of people that drink, it's in the South. And ladies and gentlemen, they made a bad marketing decision. Why? Because, the fade right now is transgenderism, and to support transgenderism, we're going to go ahead and do it, and it backfired on them. It backfired on them. People said, and look, there's boycotts on the conservative side. I'm on the fence to where they say, look, if I say it like this, if you don't like it or you don't like what they do, don't drink it. You don't have to call out for a boycott, just don't do it. And a lot of people had that mentality, like throwing the beer out or whatever. But ladies and gentlemen, the conservatives were upset. But now that Bud Light and Ashton Busch, I think I said their name right. Hold on, no, we did this. Now the left is mad. The left is saying, well, you're not holding to your guns. You're not fighting for transgenderism. We're gonna boycott you. Ladies and gentlemen, Bud Light should have just left the can blue with the white letters. I don't drink beer, so I'm not in this argument. I've never tasted Bud Light. I never intend to taste Bud Light. The only beer I drink is root beer, and it's the cheap Coke cans. Nothing against Food Cub, please. You're a good substitute. But ladies and gentlemen, the Bud Light just can't get a break. Ashton Busch can't get a break. And this all started because they thought it would be good to go ahead and entertain a fad with their customers that the majority of their customers don't agree with the agenda that they were trying to push. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this has started a whole new market. There's an alt-right beer that came out, and they're multimillionaires now because people are buying that instead of Bud Light. Same thing with Hershey's. When Hershey's made a statement about supporting the trans community, I think it's Johnny's Chocolate Bars. Daily Wire's founding, one of the one of the founders of the Daily Wire put it together. Ladies and gentlemen, they just can't get a break. And look, I heard you make a mistake, you announce, and this is where I think they're trying to do. They're trying to hold to both bases. They won't be able to. And look, the people that you lost $1 billion to, you should market to your customers that make your business. And they're trying to do damage control. They're trying to save their business. They're trying to play both sides of the fence, but you can't play both sides of the fence, Bud Light. You're gonna have to go ahead and you're gonna have to make a decision. You're gonna have to say, look, do we stay with this crowd or do we stay with that crowd? And look, you lost over $1 billion. I'm sorry, I don't know how much this person's getting paid to be an influencer for Bud Light, but I promise you it ain't over $1 billion. A few million, maybe. I tell you, I'll be like, look, no offense to you, but we're losing money with you. You are a bad campaign. We're going to stop it. Now, they might be trying to phase out of that and hoping people don't remember. But ladies and gentlemen, don't you remember when Coke made that stunt to where, hey, they did that class where it basically was a racist thing. And there's still people today that I know that do not drink Coca-Cola. And that was years ago. There's still people today that does not drink Coca-Cola because of an executive saying we need to be less white, or it was something of that nature. I can't remember. It was something with Coca-Cola. But there's still people that don't drink Coke. Do you honestly think this is gonna overcome like this? The only thing that's gonna get people to drink Bud Light again is him, the CEO or the market person come on and say, look, we broke ties with them. It was a controversial issue. We're not going to do it again. That's all they have to do. But then they get, as I said, they're going to go ahead and get backlash from the left now. And the left, they cancel you as fast as some conservatives will. And that's where you got to look at your market. Well, what are we going to lose more? You lost $1 billion already. What you got to lose? That's my advice to Bud Light. Like I said, I don't drink Bud Light. I'm not endorsing Bud Light. I'm not telling you to go buy Bud Light. I'm not. But it's kind of a messy situation. All right. So Daily Wire: Biden absent as world leaders gather to attend historical coronation of King Charles III. They had so King Charles, he was already king, but this ceremonial is a religious act for the Church of England and all this stuff. So this kind of like signified, hey, he's going to be king of England. Now, this position, I don't think it holds any political clout. They don't do that no more. Back in the day, like when the Revolutionary War and all that, the king made the rules. Right now is the prime minister and their parliament, and they're the ones that make the decisions. This is more of a show, I guess you could say. Now, I didn't watch it. I didn't even know what was happening until I started getting notifications that Biden didn't attend. Now, Jill Biden went. Jill Biden represented America, but you had world leaders there that was seeing this historical coronation, because it hasn't happened since 1953 when Queen Elizabeth became Queen of England. But you had some pretty significant names there, except one, Joe Biden. Now, there was rumors that they asked Joe Biden not to come. I don't know if that's true. But ladies and gentlemen, the president of the United States was not there to see a king not see a king become a king. Now, this isn't the first time. I think it was 1953 when Queen Elizabeth, the president, wasn't there. Let me see. Yeah, so the last British coronation occurred in June of 1953 where Charles's late mother, Queen Elizabeth, began her reign, breaking 70 years reign. President Dwight Eisenhower did not attend her coordination, instead opting to send other representatives from the United States. So it's not normal that a president don't go. But ladies and gentlemen, when Jill Biden goes and the president don't, let me say it like this: Jill Biden goes to more events than Biden does. She was at the women's national championship. Remember, she made the controversial thing of saying, "Hey, send both teams to the White House." You had Jill Biden. Joe Biden was at the Super Bowl without Joe Biden. Now, we know Joe Biden don't like going anywhere after 4 o'clock. But ladies and gentlemen, that right there, the president not going to this thing and not going to other events, is the president tired? And because now we can use that as campaign slogans, but I'm just saying, is the president fit to run the country when he can't even make events like this? And look, like I said, would I've gone at the president of the United States? I don't know. That's a 50-50 chance I would have went. But I'm not the president of the United States, so I don't have that decision. All right, got one more story to talk about today. And this happened right before we were about to record. And this right here, I think that this bothers me right here, because this is something that I dread reading about, and it's finally happening. And it is transgender MMA artists accept former UFC fighters' challenge to fight. I believe this is the transgender's quote. He said, the female that became a male said, "I'm going to F you up." Now, last month, former UFC fighter Jack Shields posted a challenge to the toughest trans man to a bout, and one has answered the call. Mac Biggs, a biological female from Texas who has transgendered, posted on Instagram that he was down to go against Shields. After Shields claimed to receive no response from any trans fighters, he reversed his offer, saying he would take on former UFC fighter Mike Jackson and 10 trans fighters simultaneously. This is a serious officer. Go get your team ready. Shields tweeted April 20th. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this should not be happening. And this is something that I feared would happen. Now, it has happened already, where they had a trans man who was a woman that turned into a man fight against a fighter in the UFC style, and that poor person got beat up tremendously. Now, there might be a lot of people that would say, well, Isaac, don't you think this is good? This proves your point. No, I don't want this to happen. I do not want this to happen. Now, I know what this trans fighter is probably trying. Well, if I beat this guy, I can prove the point that there's no differences in biologically. There's not a biological difference. A woman can beat a man, or a trans man can beat a man. Ladies and gentlemen, it's horrible. This is a bad idea. Now, look, I don't know what Shields was thinking. Jake Shields. Now, he might be trying to prove a point, but this is not how you prove a point. This is not. You don't go ahead and say, I want to fight a woman. That right there, to even have the thought of that is wrong. If you believe that person is if that trans man, if you believe that's a woman, me personally, I wouldn't say I want to get in the octagon with him. But ladies and gentlemen, because look, this nation has domestic violence all over, that is wrong. And this is going to happen. I hope wherever they do this venue, that the boxing board or whoever the committee that approves these fights will deny this fight. And I hear someone on the left, well, Isaac, don't you want to prove your point? No, not this way. This is horrible. It's different. It's a big difference from somebody running in a marathon and playing golf or swimming than a man beating up a biological woman. I am not for this. And like I said, this is broke. This is raw emotions and raw opinions, what I'm thinking. When I saw this, I said, no, this should not be happening. Now, this is not a UFC fight. So Dana White and Joe Rogan aren't going to be involved with this. Hopefully not. Now, and if they do, I'm going to go against Joe Rogan and I'm going to go against Dana White. But it's a former UFC fighter. Now, this former UFC fighter said, I want to prove a point. This is not how you prove your point. This is stupid. And this trans man coming out and saying, well, I'm going to do it because I'm going to show that I can beat a biological man. What has our nation come to? I'm asking that question. What has our nation come to where you have biological men calling out biological women who turn into men for fights? And like I said, the whole issue of domestic violence, that is ramping up all over the place. It's wrong, but they're gonna allow a biological woman who turned into a man fight a biological man. It's ridiculous. This is stupid. This should not happen. And look, I don't know Jake Shields. I don't know if Jake Shields listen to my show. I don't know if Miss Biggs or whatever you want to, whatever the trans person's name is. I don't know if they're listening, but this needs to stop. And I'm calling on a plea for it to stop. But our nation is so confused right now. And violence won't fix that anyway. I think this is wrong and it needs to stop. So, with that being said, I want to thank you for listening to the Cajun Conservative Show today. Please remember to hit the like button and the follow button on the platform you're listening on. I really enjoy coming to you guys every time we record. We record twice a week, and our episodes drop on Monday and they drop on Thursday. I love coming, hang out with you guys. Please do me a favor to share the show with your friends. Share it on Facebook. Share it on TikTok. Go check me out, the Cajun Conservative Show on TikTok, the Cajun Conservative Show on YouTube, on Rumble, the Cajun Conservative Show, and on Twitter, the Cajun Show. Go ahead and check us out. Go like all our platforms. Let this podcast is growing, and we want to continue to grow. So we need your help to do that. So go ahead and do that as well. If you remember, Jesus Christ is King and he's coming back. He's coming back soon. So don't be faint of heart, because Jesus has overcome the world. And on that note, if you want to know Jesus as your personal Lord and Savior, reach out to me. I'll tell you how to make Jesus your Savior and heaven your home. So until next time, be blessed, be encouraged. You have a good one. See you next time.
And he